Good. What is the meaning of your life? These are certain questions that Yuval Harari prompts us to think. This is Yuval Noah Harari. He's got his website. You need to look into that. This particular section is taken from *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind*. If you have a chance, you can read that. His other novel is also *Homo Deus: A Brief History of Tomorrow*. And think about your life. If you are happy and contented, do you have a meaning life? Is your life meaningful? And these are things that you need to think about. So, how do you know whether you are happy? How do you know that you are contented? How do you know that you have a meaningful life? Usually, biologists or social scientists distribute these questionnaires or sort of well-being questionnaires. If you expand, you can find that the questionnaire reads like this. How much do you like your schoolwork? Do you have problems with these subjects? Do you feel that do you feel you got all the help that you need? So these are certain questions that are asked, possibly in Google Forms, just like the quizzes made by our children. And these are certain questions that are asked by social scientists, and you answer them. And if you answer them, based on that, out of, let's say, 100 people who have responded, if 60 or 70 people have responded that their well-being is okay, then the city or the corporation or the community decides that everything is good. So these are well-being questions which are generally distributed, but of course here in Kerala, such questions we do not generally see. However, social scientists or social workers try out these sort of questions. Now, why do they try these sort of questions? Because they believe that these questions are related to wealth and also political freedom. At the same time, exactly the opposite side, scientists or biologists think that these questions or this happiness, your happiness is basically biochemical, and it is also genetic. It is not based on your wealth or whether on your political freedom. ഒരാൾക്ക് ഒരു ലോട്ടറി കിട്ടിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ is he happy or not? We've heard of stories where lottery കിട്ടിയപ്പോൾ he's so happy, but at the same time he splurges the money. എന്നിട്ട് ഒരു മാസം 2 മാസം he gets lots of friends. എല്ലാവരും കൂടെ വന്നു. He parties, he does all the things enjoyable in life. എന്നിട്ട് maybe within 1 or 2 or 3 months, all the money is over. ആ പൈസ കഴിയുന്നതോടുകൂടെ it's sort of destruction for him. Friends or illa, everything just vanishes. Appo is he happy or is he sad, or what is his state of mind? Biologists parayna it is biochemical nana. And also there are lots of genetic factors involved in it. It comes via transmission of genes. So if these sort of questions can be looked into as two different ways by two different sets of people, social scientists and biologists. Now, in well-being questionnaires, social scientists ask about salary and social relations and political freedom, while the biologists say that whatever answers to these questions, they are actually produced due to your complex systems of nerves, your neurons, your synapses, and also biochemical substances such as serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. These are 3 important biochemicals that secrete in various proportions into your body and into your brain, and that is how your happiness or your sadness or your state of being calm, all these things are produced due to serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, according to biologists. So what is happiness? In physical happiness, you have winning in the lottery, or buying a house, or getting a promotion, or even finding true love. These are physical happiness. When you get this sort of things, let's say you get today you've taken a lottery. Next Thursday you find that you've got 1 lakh with you. So that is physical happiness. You're very happy, and therefore temporarily. People also buy a house, and when you buy a house, maybe you get your own room. So you're happy. Now, are you really happy? According to Yuval Harari, he says, nobody is ever made happy by winning a lottery or buying a house or getting a promotion. People are made happy only by the pleasant sensations in their bodies. A person who just won the lottery or found new love and jumps from joy is not really reacting to the money or to the lover. Instead, they are reacting to various hormones coursing through their bloodstream and to the storm of electrical signals flashing between the different parts of their brain. So this is the explanation of biologists, that if you get a lottery and you are suddenly happy, immediately this is basically the hormones traveling through your bloodstream. അതിന്റെ ബെസ്റ്റ് എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആണ് നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നസെന്റ് ലോട്ടറി കിട്ടുന്ന രേവതി പറ്റിക്കുന്നത്. That scene, I think, will be very evident, and how he jumps for joy and how Innocent vents all his anger on the master Tilagan and things like that. So that's suddenly basically a chemical reaction through which the hormones are traveling through the bloodstream, or a storm of electrical signals flashing between the parts of the brain. And according to Yuval Harari, happiness and misery, രണ്ട് സൈഡുണ്ട്. Happiness and misery. മിസറിയിലെ കുറേ വേർഡ്സ് അവിടെ കാണാം. Gloomy, lonely, anxiety, pain, moody, weariness. Weariness ഒക്കെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ആയിട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടാവും. 9:30 to 12:30 continuous ആയിട്ട് ക്ലാസ് എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ there might be just a break of 10 minutes. Sitting in an online class is not as easy as being in a regular class. Online class means you always have to listen to the dialogue of a teacher, or maybe sit in a place. മറ്റേ ക്ലാസ് ആണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ during your break you have the freedom to walk around. So many things that are there which are completely different from an online class. The happiness and misery play a role in evolution. They encourage or discourage survival and reproduction. So that's a very logical statement. If you are sad, then there is no happiness, and there is no happiness. At the same time, the evolution has molded us to be neither too miserable nor too happy. It enables us to enjoy a momentary rush of pleasant sensations, but these never last forever. So we will never be too miserable, we will never be too happy. But these are all just momentary. This is very important, especially when they talk of these suicide deaths. People say that at that point of suicide, it is a point in time where you have this sudden rush of adrenaline and you want to do something. And maybe at that particular point of time, if there is someone to calm that person, or someone to talk to that person, maybe that drastic or that nasty event would be reduced, or maybe the person could coax the person intending to commit suicide to retract from that, or to go back from that. So all these things, unfortunately, our hopes of creating heaven on earth, or our internal biochemical system, seems to be programmed to keep happiness levels relatively constant. And it enables us to enjoy a momentary rush of pleasant sensations. But these never last forever. Sooner or later they subside and give place to unpleasant sensations. Especially for me, food is my weakness. And whenever I see biryani, let's say at about 11:30 to 12 o'clock, there is a pleasant sensation. But imagine I get a choice of 3-4 biryanis at 1 o'clock after having eaten one plate of biryani. Then that happiness is really not the happiness sort of changes. So that sort of the pleasant sensations slowly give place to unpleasant sensations. And the same way, the human biochemistry, with respect to human biochemistry, it is like an air conditioning system. In the air conditioning system, the temperature is constant. We like our air conditioner or we like our fan at a particular temperature. This is normal human beings. അതേപോലെ ബെഡിൽ തന്നെ we like our beds to be in a particular place. എന്ത് ബെഡ് ആണെങ്കിലും there are many people who when they travel ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് if they get a different sort of bed, അവർക്ക് they are not able to sleep properly. The same way, temperature also. Some people like to keep the fan at speed 5, the maximum speed. ചിലവർക്ക് fan ഒന്നിലായിരിക്കും ഇഷ്ടം. So there will be, there is sometimes between, suppose there are two brother and sister or two children staying in one particular room. Sometimes, there is even a difference of opinion because of the variation in fan levels. Some people like it very at full speed. Some people like it at low speed. This is basically due to the body constitution. In air conditioners also, this is so similar to an air conditioning system that keeps the temperature constant. Events might momentarily change the temperature, but the air conditioning system always returns the temperature to the same set point. This is the best example is when you enter an air conditioned mall or you enter an air conditioned restaurant. Suddenly you feel a surge of cold, but gradually that temperature becomes normal, and even sometimes you start feeling hot. So this is human biochemistry. You have a pleasant sensation, you are happy, but after some time that sensation slowly. So human happiness conditioning systems differ from person to person. Maybe I might be happy when I see food. For another person, when they see food, they might not be happy. So that depends. For another person, it might be electronics. For another person, it might be cars. For another person, it might be cartoons. So it depends on the happiness level of each person. So this is the mood scale. And in this mood scale, you have 10 as your ultimate happiness, with 6 being just cheerful. At the same time, if you are sad, if you are grumpy, or if you are gloomy, or if you are miserable, your mood scale will go dip down to 1. So some are born with a cheerful biochemical system that allows their mood to swing between levels 6 and 10, stabilizing with time at 8. അപ്പോൾ ചിലവരുടെയൊക്കെ mood levels between 6 and 8 ആണ്. അതവിടെ I have put certain cartoons, like for example, sometimes eating a burger or having a milkshake might make you cheerful. അപ്പോൾ 6 or 7 or 8 അതിൽ സാധാരണ രീതിയിൽ. But some people become so ecstatic, become so happy at having, let's say, chocolate milkshake even. So for them, the ultimate level of happiness is 10. What sort of a mood scale are you? Which level are you in? And അതേ സമയത്ത് there are other people with a gloomy biochemistry. People with gloomy biochemistry means those എന്ത് വന്നാലും they are not at all happy. For example, even if they win 1 lakh rupees അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 10 lakhs of rupees കിട്ടിയാൽ പോലും they might be in a gloomy state. The notes go like this: such an unhappy person remains depressed even if she wins 50 million in the morning, discovers the cure for cancer by noon, and in the evening reunites with their long lost child who disappeared years ago. She would still be incapable of experiencing anything beyond level 7 happiness. Her brain is simply not built for acceleration. So there are some people like that also who are not at all happy at whatever you give them, whatever thing you say, they are not happy. So, such people are also there. So then the question Yuval Noah Harari talks about is, then who is happier? Is it the married couple or is it the single parent? Who is more happier? Nowadays, there are more of single parents. So you will know that marriage as an institution in Kerala is still in India is still revered, but in Western concepts, you also have this the single parenting, or the mother looking after the child, possibly after a crushed romance or after a crushed marriage, and male also looking after their children. These are all new things which we may not be able to accept. But Yuval Noah Harari talks about the concept. Who is happier? Is it a married couple, or would single parents be happy? Are married people happier on average than singles? It is true that married people are happier than singles and divorcees, but that does not necessarily mean that marriage produces happiness. It could be that happiness causes marriage, or more correctly, maybe it's not because of that. It might be because that serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin bring about and maintain this marriage. So it is the levels of serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin that bring about the change in their happiness. And it is not just the marriage alone. This is what Yuval Noah Harari says. People who are born with a cheerful biochemistry are generally happy and content. Such people have more attractive spouses, and consequently, they have a greater chance of getting married. They are also less likely to divorce because it is far easier to live with a happy and content spouse than with a depressed and dissatisfied one. Consequently, it's true that married people are happier on average than singles. So, Noah Harari's explanation is like this. In a marriage, suppose the husband or suppose the wife is a gloomy sort of person. ഒരു നെഗറ്റീവ് ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ് ആണെന്ന് വെക്കുക, then naturally that marriage may not be happy. അവർ അതുകൊണ്ട് ഡിവോഴ്സ് ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാനൊന്നും പോകുന്നില്ല, but that happiness may not be there in their life. So in that particular the biochemistry of the other person would be what you call sad or gloomy. അതേ സമയത്ത് imagine the opposite side of it. The husband or the wife, whenever the opposite partner talks about something, it is either encouraging or always nice words are said. One of the best examples would be, let's say, in cooking. Suppose the husband makes something, the husband attempts to make something in the kitchen and it becomes a failure. What would be the reaction of the wife? The kitchen would be completely dirty. Oil would be spilt everywhere. Another situation, what would the wife say? Suppose the wife says, "Sarlato, at least you tried." I mean, what would be the disposition of the husband? Would it be cheerful? Would it be happy? The wife makes a good dish, brings it for breakfast, and the husband says, what would be the disposition of the wife? So, in marriage terms, this is very crucial. You have to understand both. You have to understand each other. And a cheerful disposition. If you have a cheerful disposition, then the meaning of marriage or the meaning of happiness becomes more. And for some people, it is not very easy to bring about happiness on their faces. The emoticon വളരെ എളുപ്പമാണ്, smiley വരയ്ക്കാൻ, but to bring about a smile on the face of certain people is not very easy. And Yuval Noah Harari says that it is basically due to the amount of serotonin, oxytocin in their lives. So that same sort of happiness can be for single parents also. Now, another example that Harari compares is two houses. One is the house of a banker, a wealthy banker who's well accomplished in life. നല്ല റിവർ വ്യൂ, ആ വീടിന്റെ വ്യൂ കണ്ടാൽ തന്നെ അറിയാം. അതേ സമയത്ത് ഒരു ഫാമറുടെ വീട് കണ്ടോ, വലിയ ഒന്നുമില്ല. ബാങ്കറിന്റെ വീട്ടില് എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്, ടെക്നോളജിക്കൽ ഗാഡ്ജറ്റ്സ് മുഴുവൻ ഉണ്ട്. ഷാംസലീസിന്റെ വ്യൂ ഉണ്ട്. ഷാംസലീസിന് അവിടുത്തെ ഒരു വലിയൊരു സ്ട്രീറ്റ് ആണ്. അതേ സമയത്ത് ഫാമറിന്റെ ഒരു കൂരയാണ്. It's just basically a mud house. Now who is happy? If you see that both of them have level 10 happiness, because you are happy due to the biochemical reactions in your mind and nothing else. Happiness is basically that. So a rich person is happy in their sort of environment. The poor farmer is also happy in their sort of environment. Now, this is exactly the condition for us also. We know that very well. In our we would also, finally we would like to come back to our room. Our room എന്ത് dirty ആണെങ്കിലും ആ റൂമിലേക്ക് തിരിച്ചു വരാൻ നമുക്ക് വലിയ ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. So that sort of a what we call a level 10 happiness is there always for even us. I've shown you that level 10 happiness, and this level 10 is achieved only due to these chemicals in our mind. That is the chemicals you have to remember: serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. Now he talks a little bit about history, about these revolutionaries. They were busy killing the people in the French history. You have people, maybe we can take a comparison like of the people fighting in the northeastern borders. They are fighting for what? You are fighting for just a piece of land. Now when you get that land, suppose you have victory and you get that land, are you really happy? What have you really done? വെള്ളം ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ, if you put an embankment or if you dam the water, if you dam the water, you say that you claim that the water is yours, the Seattle lesson പോലെ, but that water is really not yours. But then are you happy? Do you feel that what you have done creates happiness in you? For some people it does. So what really happens, it is this change of chemical in your mind. And the key to happiness is basically this. It is in the hands of our biochemical system. How is it? If you want to be, for those people who are depressed, they give this sort of medicine called Prozac. What does Prozac do? Prozac lifts serotonin levels. It lifts people out of their depression. കുറച്ച് മെന്റലി ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഡിപ്രസ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഈ പ്രോസാക് മരുന്നാണ് കൊടുക്കുക. അതിൽ നിന്ന് അവർക്ക് ആ കാര്യങ്ങൾ കുറച്ച് മറക്കാം. ഇത് നമ്മുടെ ലഹരി മരുന്നൊക്കെ കൊടുക്കുന്ന പോലെ പീപ്പിൾ ടേക്ക് ദീസ് ഡ്രഗ്സ്, they go to an accelerated level, കുറച്ചും കൂടി ഒരു higher ലെവലിലേക്ക് പോകും, so that they sort of forget all the feelings. They have no feelings at all എന്നുള്ള state of ecstasy. So what is happiness? You can see that mix of three colors: blue, green, and violet. If you have maximum of all of them, that is maximum of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, is basically what you call love. And depression, you see, less of everything. Less of dopamine, less of serotonin, less of oxytocin. Same way, anxiety is also less. Whereas happiness, you have serotonin more. So money, status, plastic surgery, beautiful houses, powerful positions, none of these things will give you happiness. But only lasting happiness will be given to you only if you have an excess of serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. So this is basically of the mind, and this you have to create within. Reading Liganam, happiness begins within. You have to create happiness. If you are happy, then things become better. Suppose your salary, there are many people who are very happy with a very low salary. There are houses where salaries come to maybe 10 to 15,000 rupees only. But at the same time, such houses, there's a lot of happiness. Happiness is created within. It might be that the husband and wife in that house, they are mutually adjusting to each other. Whatever the problems, they learn to overcome that. Or their children might be helpful with their parents in helping out and so many things. So that sort of a happiness comes from raising the serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin levels. And this is what Aldous Huxley talks about in A Brave New World. He says that happiness is a supreme value and psychiatric drugs replace the police and ballot. Every day, each person takes a dose of soma, a synthetic drug which makes people happy without harming their productivity and efficiency. Aldous Huxleyയുടെ ബ്രേവ് ന്യൂ വേൾഡ് എന്നുള്ള ബുക്കിലുള്ള ഒരു കഥയാണ്. അതിൽ എല്ലാ രാവിലെയും ഈ മരുന്ന് കഴിക്കുന്ന പോലെ ഇവരൊരു സോമ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു പില്ല് കഴിക്കുക. അത് മരുന്ന് കഴിക്കുന്നതോടുകൂടെ അവര് എന്താ പറയണ്ടേ, ദേ ആർ ഹാപ്പി. അവര് കാര്യങ്ങൾ വർക്കൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. They take this drug which makes them happy without harming their productivity and efficiency. അവർ ബാക്കി വർക്കൊക്കെ അവർ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു രാജ്യത്ത്, അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ലോകത്ത് there is no war, no revolution, no strike, no demonstration, because all people are supremely content with their current conditions. എല്ലാവരും വളരെ ഹാപ്പിയാണ്. അങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ if everybody is happy, what could be wrong with that? This is similar to Auden's Unknown Citizen. So it is a state where everything is provided by the government. Unknown Citizen എന്നുള്ള poem എന്തായാലും ഒന്ന് വായിക്കണം, by W.H. Auden, where everything according to the government this unknown citizen gets. അങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ ആ സിറ്റിസൺ പിന്നെ എന്തിനാ സാഡ് ആവുന്നത്? The citizen has to be happy. And how do you create this happiness? According to biochemists, you just need to raise the serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine levels. And this is Yuval Noah Harari's Chemical Happiness. Thank you.
Thank you for for your patient listening. And as I just want to see whether Prashant sir is there. I think Prashant sir, are you there? I think we have lost it. So within 5 minutes, we will be streaming the next one. The next one is by Chief Seattle, the lesson by Chief Seattle. So I'll be disconnecting this and then going on to the next one. Thank you very much for joining in.